Today we're going to be working on a 2011 Buick Lacrosse that's given us an EVAP code for a small leak. Now if you've got one of these EVAP codes on these GM 3.6 motors, 9 times out of 10 it's probably going to be that purge valve. If you take a look at some of those other videos I've done out there on both this 2011 Buick Lacrosse, we did a purge valve on this last year. It's fixed the EVAP code over the last year. We're getting another one here today, so I'll show you what we're going to do on this one here. So what we're going to be doing here today, we're going to be hooking up this EVAP smoke machine to our purge valve hose back there. So we'll first disconnect that. Then when that's on, we're going to follow the lines back to the vehicle, check the canister, check the gas cap, and check any lines to see if we can find out where this thing's leaking at. Alright, so now that we have everything set up, the first thing we need to do here is we need to disable the vent valve. If you're not familiar with these EVAP systems, that vent valve by default is open. So if you just leave it as is, you're going to run this thing and you're going to have it venting right out of the vent valve and you're not going to be able to really diagnose what you're doing here. So what we need to do is hook it up to our scanner. So go to Engine Control Module, go Active Test, EVAP, EVAP Purge Seal. We got the all-wheel drive here. And you can see there it's defaulted to venting. So we must close this. So in order to close it, we'll hit our not venting. And we can see that it immediately closed that vent valve. So now the system is closed back there. So now we can begin our test. If you don't do this, what's going to happen is you're going to run this smoke through the system and it's just going to keep venting out of the vent valve. So you need to make sure you close this before you start this test. So we'll come back here, take our purge line, and then we're going to insert this on the end. We'll first come over here to the canister, and I looked all through there and I don't see anything leaking. And I checked the line coming over here as well, so this isn't our problem. And then come over here to your gas cap and just verify that's not leaking, because this is a common problem as well. And it looks like that is perfectly fine as well. And after going around the vehicle a little bit, I do hear a hissing noise underneath the vehicle. So I'm going to go under here and see what we got. Yeah, and it looks like we have a leak. Yeah, so right there, if you can see, that is where it's a little bit moist. And we do see our smoke coming out of there. So I believe that is just the filler neck that goes up to our gas tank. So we confirmed that is where we're leaking from. In order to get access to that fuel filler line that goes up here to our gas cap, first jack up the vehicle, then we'll remove this rear right passenger wheel, and it's just going to be a 22 mil. Next, remove this liner that's inside here. So to do that, you got a push pin over here, got two 10 mil bolts, and you got some T20 screws over there. And it does look like there's a couple of these exhaust shield clips as well, so just pry those off. And after you get those removed, go ahead and just gently pry this out of here. And there is one under here as well, so don't forget about this push pin down here. go ahead and remove the liner out of there. Now that we have that out of the way, we have access to our filler neck. As you can see, not only the vent line over here, which we know is leaking, this actually filler neck here isn't much better. If we go up top there, you know, it's likewise, it's pretty rusty and even underneath there. So you got a couple options here. Obviously, the best route here is to replace it with a new one. And this part number, and I'm not sure why GM has so many different part numbers between 2011, 2010, 2013, around in there. I don't know if it's because of the flex fuel that they had to put different part numbers for some of this. With that said, GM says some of them aren't compatible, but you know, I picked up a junkyard one here today. I'm going to try for 20 bucks. GM still makes some of these parts. They're around 300, 350 bucks for this entire setup. If you don't want to spend that money on a new part, another option you do have, if you have, you know, this vent line, let's just say it's leaking in the middle there, you can always cut it up into here somewhere. Simply take a fuel line hose, make sure you're getting a fuel line rated hose, and you can simply put a hose clamp here, go on the other end there, and then do the same thing over there, and then you can, you know, bypass that hole. So typically you can do that in a pinch, you know, but again, obviously it's best to replace it. So that's what we're going to do here today, and I'll show you the new one that we picked up over here. So this is the used part that we have here. You know, obviously it's not perfect, it's a used part, but you know, it's a lot better than the one we have there. And for 20 bucks, I don't think I can complain. So we'll go ahead and get this other one out of here. Then we'll do a quick compare to see, you know, make sure these match up. Then we'll get this one installed as well. So real quick, before we get out of the vehicle, I'll show you the two lines that we need to disconnect under there, because it's going to be kind of hard to video on this all-wheel drive version because there's not much room. The first is going to be this vent hose here. And what you're going to notice is going to have these two little yellow pieces in the middle. Simply squeeze both sides. So there's one on the other side as well. And as you squeeze those, it should pop off like that. Likewise, when you go to install it later, you'll hear it snap in place like that. So just squeeze both of those, take that off. Then you're also going to have a hose clamp here that you just can, you know, as a flathead screwdriver there to get that off the actual gas tank. So we'll go under there and we'll loosen up both of those first. Before we do that, we'll quickly just open up our fuel cap here as well, just in case, you know, if there's any pressure in there, and just leave it like that for now. All right, so then under here, so here's our gas tank right here, and you can barely see that hose up there. Right there it is. This is going to be the hose that's connected to the fuel tank that I was showing you. Then that other line is right above it. If you have the front wheel drive version, you have a lot more room up here, because we have this all-wheel drive. We have a lot more stuff back here in the way. So, you know, again, this is going to be hard for me to record here. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen up both of those just like I showed you on our new one. But, you know, again, if you have the front wheel drive, you have very easy access. Just get up there and remove those. And one other comment here real quick. Our gas tank is about empty, so it's on E in there. If you have a lot of gas in here, you might want to think about draining it down a little bit or even emptying it. But as long as you have the gas down a little bit, so, you know, when you're down to that E, it's way down here. So you don't have any risk of, you know, loosening that up and having a gas spill. But just keep that in mind. You do not want to do this with a full tank. If you have a full tank, you're going to need to make sure you drain some of the fuel out of there. After you get those two hoses disconnected, sometimes you're able to pull that bigger hose off of that fuel tank, and other times you're not, because you need a little bit more leverage in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this thing here. It's holding these two exhaust shields together. And you're just going to gently bend this out of the way. And if you look underneath there, you'll see that you have a 10 mil bolt right there holding this in. So we'll go ahead and we'll loosen up that 10 mil, then we'll go up top and we'll loosen up the other 10. And I'm just going to be using one of these pivot wrenches here. Alright, so there's that bolt. Then come up top here and remove this 10 mil there as well. All right, so now that we got both of those out, we can see we do have a little play in this pipe now. So we should be able to remove the rest of that hose off of our tank over there. And also you want to go ahead and just make sure you take this cap off as well, because this is going to get pulled through on the inside. Now that we got everything loosened up, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to push our filler neck straight down to clear the body up here, and it should come directly out of there. And then you're going to need to apply a little bit of downward pressure, or to make things even easier, you can loosen up one of the exhaust bolts over there, the hangers, and that'll drop this exhaust a little bit. But if you just push down a little bit on these shields, you can bend it just a little bit. You can always bend it right back up, but eventually you should be able to get this out of here. All right, so after you get that loosened up there, then just go back underneath the car and you can feed it out through the bottom there. All right, so after you get it out, then just set it next to the old one and just verify everything looks identical. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to set this on top, almost like this, to make sure all the angles and the length and everything is identical. But once you confirm that the one that you have, if you're using a used one, obviously if you get a brand new one here, there should be no surprises. But just do a quick compare here. If they look good, then we'll go ahead and install it on the vehicle. All right, so we'll gently thread this through there. And again, if you get wedged on these things in here, just kind of bend that exhaust down a little bit there. Eventually you'll find the right spot and it'll go right through there. All right, so once you get it pushed back in place, then just slightly push this so you clear the fender here. And we'll get this kind of up here. Then when you get up here, you're simply just going to push this through just like that. After you get that in place, then we'll go ahead and we'll take one of these bolts here and we'll just loosely tighten this up here just to keep this in place. All right, so that's good enough to just kind of hold that in place. Then we'll go underneath the vehicle and connect the two hoses. And again, it's kind of difficult for me to record this because I have the all-wheel drive, but it's the same process how you remove them. Just snug both of those connections up under there, then we'll go back here and we'll connect this bracket as well. After you get both of those hoses connected, then take your other bolt here and fasten this down as well. After you get that started on there, then we'll tighten it down the rest of the way. Then go back up here and tighten this down as well. Then just verify that that's snug on there, then you should be good installing the filler neck. Then the last thing, just come back up here and make sure that that rubber is behind here and put your cap on there and just verify it locks down correctly. Just like that, and then you should be done. All right, well, hopefully this helped you out if you're having a small or even a large EVAP leak on your Lacrosse. And likewise on the Impala, they have this exact same problem where these vents rust out and then they just start leaking over time. So as I mentioned there before, if you checked out your purge valve and you've done that already, there's a good chance on your Lacrosse, this is probably your problem right here. So hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, please give me the thumbs up. If you're interested in more content like this, please hit that subscribe. But again, I hope this helped you out and thanks for watching.